includes owning guns, being politically active, and having bumper stickers on your car. The cable guy's next visit to your house may turn out to have even more interesting consequences than the originally anticipated. Operation Bright Eyes is designed to maximize the eyes and ears of Bright House Network's field service representatives and other employees to easily identify suspicious behavior and to quickly report criminal activities to the police, according to Fox News. All current and new Bright House employees will receive training to help them use the resources at their disposal. The secret police, I would add, to become familiar with residents' activities in the neighborhoods. Yes, spy on everyone and report anything they deem unusual to the authorities in order to keep our neighborhoods safe. Since when was it the job of a cable guy to run around pretending to be an undercover cop? The program is ripe for abuse and another advancement of the elite tattletale society being created in order to make the sheeple self-police their behavior, constantly aware that they are being watched by secret police, living in fear that Big Brother will catch any minor indiscretion. And I had the Wall Street Journal writer here, and she said everywhere she was in England to do a travel piece, people would run up and say, you can't photograph, it's illegal, it's terrorism. She'd try to be at the canals, take a photo, at landmarks. And when I was in D.C. last year, they'd run up and say, turn your cameras off anywhere. It's about an oppressive system where we're all slaves. And they're taking the neighborhood watch groups and the compulsory youth service corps and making them tattletales. You can just Google 7-year-olds trained to spy on neighbors. Google it. Show people right now at prisonplanet.tv. You'll get England. You'll get the U.S. The kids are growing up with cameras in the school bathrooms, cameras in the school showers in Tennessee. I mean, this is total Big Brother. The government's totally rogue and criminal, owned by foreign banks, looting and robbing everything. And they're putting in this prison grid not to make us prisoners, but make us slaves. And it just goes on and on with kids spying on their parents and everything else. We are out of time for this hour. Don't forget, prisonplanet.tv. We're simulcasting there on video right now.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
So much has happened in the last 2 or 3 years, thanks to you, the viewers, the listeners of this show, and other patriot organizations, other liberty lovers standing up. Ron Paul has gone from being somewhat unknown, almost obscure compared to some congressmen, to the most internationally interviewed congressman. That's mainstream news. What is he? The second most interviewed congressman now on U.S. media. And we've gone from almost no one knowing the Federal Reserve's private run for profit to the majority of people knowing about it. It's one of the most searched Google terms, and it's something being talked about everywhere, that it's offshore, it's a criminal corporate takeover. Now, I told folks that when Ron Paul ran, he said, look, I'm not promising I can win. Don't get mad at me. Some people did. They expected instant gratification, like a cheeseburger. You get in 30 seconds, you start stamping your foot after 30 seconds if the line doesn't move at McDonald's. The globalists didn't build their system overnight. We're not going to defeat it overnight. We're having giant success right now, and we need more people under the Ron Paul mantle, the Liberty Committee idea, the Campaign for Liberty idea, to run for Congress, run for Senate, run for governor, run for city council, run for county commissioner, run for city board, whatever. It's happening now. And somebody we're drafting to run for the U.S. Senate is the son of Dr. Ron Paul, Dr. Rand Paul. He's an eye doctor. And he's raising the money. Looks like he's going to run, getting the support behind him. Very, very exciting. Last time they were on, biggest support they've seen, crashed their servers. It's like Ron Paul said here in the middle of his campaign, half the support they were getting was coming from this show. Then later it opened up to where it was a wider audience. But the point is, you guys out there are literally driving the revolution for liberty and freedom against the revolutionary corporate takeover banksters. And so that's why the process of just Ron Paul running educated everybody about inflation and private banks and the Federal Reserve and globalism, and that the left-right paradigm's a fraud. We need his son in the U.S. Senate, Dr. Rand Paul. Doc, it's good to have you on with us.
Glad to be back with you, Alex.
We're about to break, and some stations join us in the next segment, but are you running? I mean, it looks like you're running.
We're very, very close, and we're going to have a final announcement within 2 weeks. Still putting some things together, having some last-minute discussions with family and friends, and I will only run and make the decision if I think we absolutely have a chance to win. This campaign will not be just about education or protest. We will have not only the money, but the organization, the name recognition, and everything else it takes to win on the ground.
Well, your father ran once for the House and lost, won the second time. So certainly we wanted Ron Paul to win, and certainly we want you to win. But I'm just saying it's win-win either way. Just the battle itself is victory.
Well, particularly in my father's case, it was, because not winning the presidency, he did win the attention, particularly for being right about the housing bubble and predicting that it would come. So now he is the go-to guy. They go to him and they ask him about the Federal Reserve. The overwhelming support, I've never seen anything like it, the co-sponsorships for the Audit the Fed bill. My dad says that it would almost assuredly pass both the House and the Senate if and when they give it a vote, but that's still a pretty big if.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about when we get back. I want your take on what I was discussing, but from your own perspective, how far we've come. I think we need to recognize the victories we've had and realize we're in this fight against the globalists, and where things are going right now in the Senate with them blocking the vote right now to audit the Fed. But as your father said earlier this week, or late last week, there's no way they can win. The longer they try to cover up and block this vote, the more people wake up to the fact that they're the problem, not the solution. Dr. Rand Paul is our guest. We'll give you his website. It's up on screen, randpaul2010.com. randpaul2010.com. We'll talk to him coming up, and your phone calls for Dr. Rand Paul at 1-800-259-9231. This is the GCN Radio Network. PrisonPlanet.tv is my site.
He's the T-Rex of political talk. Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network.
1-800-259-9231 if you'd like to talk to Dr. Rand Paul, son of Ron Paul, running for U.S. Senate out of Kentucky. I think destiny is he's going to run. I'll be very surprised if he doesn't, but he said in the next 2 weeks you'll hear the main announcement. Dr. Rand Paul, let's go over the most important issues right now. I was asking you during the break what you think is most important, and you made the point that they did it, that the private Federal Reserve made this debt. They created this system, and you went back to Andrew Jackson. Go over that.
Well, the interesting thing is that I think the two are always linked, and particularly when people try to sort of make us outside the mainstream about talking about the Fed, is I say the Fed is the debt. The way we pay for the debt is by monetizing it, printing new money, and they go hand in hand. Because we have a large debt, we give up a lot of control and power to the Federal Reserve that we wouldn't have to do if we didn't run a large debt. So they're two sides of the same coin. In fact, when Andrew Jackson ran hard against the second bank, he said the national debt is not a national blessing but a national curse, inasmuch it is calculated to gather around the administration of moneyed aristocracy, keen and dangerous to the republic. And I think that's really important, that it is the debt, but it's also the Federal Reserve, and they're two sides of the same coin.
Well, really, the fight against the private offshore central banks has been the perpetual fight since before this country was even born, from the moment it was conceived, right through the 7 years of revolutionary conflict against the British Crown until today. And I guess they won the beachhead in 1913 and have been strangling us and using us as their engine for world domination ever since. And I believe they've overreached now in their greediness to sacrifice the United States and run up our national credit card to fund their global operations, in their own words, and that they've overreached. I mean, inexorably, we feel the momentum shift against them as now the general public knows the Federal Reserve's private. They know it's above the law. They know it's criminal. And now it's not just your father getting in the face of Bernanke or Greenspan. Now it's the majority of the congressmen and senators. Now it's the pundits. These guys are more and more on the run, and we feel the momentum, the pendulum, shifting directions. Do you see that? Do you feel that, Dr. Paul?
Yeah, I think one of the most amazing things, and one thing we can take great solace in after this election, is that the last time Bernanke was on with my father in the committee, you can truly see fear in his eyes. They are afraid that there will be oversight of the Federal Reserve, the first major oversight or change in the legislation since it originated in 1913, and they fear it. You know, they've hired $1 million lobbyist. The lobbyist that used to be the lobbyist for Enron is now going to be the lobbyist for the Fed, and they are fearful that they are losing the momentum and there could actually be a real audit.
They're going to pull out every stop, though. They're openly threatened Congress, as you know, with physical martial law last October. We had the congressman here on air. People couldn't believe it. And now they're writing articles going, yes, no, there will be martial law